I was traveling down in Utah. I have
Yeah.
to mention first, though, I've had ringing in the ears ever since the meeting started for some strange reason. I don't know if there's something going on there or not, but in my left ear, but I can still hear with my right ear. I was traveling down to Arizona one winter, and I was on the highway in Utah, and I wanted to pass this tractor trailer that I had been following for quite a while. So I thought I'd better get by it. And I looked, I had a passing lane. There was a passing lane going one direction. And I looked ahead. It was like in the distance, I could see a couple of tractor trailers coming the other way.
Hmm.
But it was quite a ways in the distance. So I thought I should be able to pass it, no problem. And I kept trying to pass this truck. I don't know if he was speeding up or what. But uh, because I was going highway speed and the tractor trailers were coming the other direction at highway speed, we got, it got, all of a sudden, they were pretty much right on top of me. And I realized I wasn't going to be able to, to pass this tractor trailer.
Hmm.
And I figured, oh, I'm going to die. There's just I can't stop because I'm still going to get hit. I can't pass the tractor trailer. And then, so I just everything kind of went blank. And the next thing I know, I'm ahead of the tractor trailer I was trying to pass, and I was just driving along the highway again. So I've been wondering, what the heck happened there? It makes me wonder if in fact I did die, and this is just kind of a copy and paste. My life just went on as if it hadn't happened, or if there's some kind of entity that interfered and allowed me to get ahead in some way of that tractor trailer. But it's the most bizarre thing that's pretty much ever happened to me.
Yeah. What? So you have no understanding about what could have. Was there anything else? Anything in the peripheral of that time, or anything before or after that added to the mystery of that event?
Well, after I did make another trip back that way, coming home to see if I could locate the place where this all happened.
Right.
And there was actually a railway track that went across the highway, right, at surface level, of course. And so I couldn't find it. I couldn't find that railway track. That seemed to be different. Now I only did it, tried it once to look for it. So maybe I missed it somehow.
Right.
But it just seemed very odd that when traveling back, I couldn't find that railway track that I had passed over when I was trying to pass that truck.
Yeah, it's a powerful experience, and amazing that you're alive. So yeah, like, so you don't know, right? Was this something interfering with you, and like an angel, quote unquote, or something to do with yourself, like you phased out or something? You have no knowledge, eh?
Yeah, I feel I blanked out. Like I was just all of a sudden waiting to die because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't avoid the head on. I figured it was about 200 feet, the truck coming at me. Like there was one, I was no longer in the passing lane. The truck coming at me, there was one in the opposing lane, and they were now in the passing lane going. They had the right of way. And I was actually in the passing lane going the wrong way because I couldn't get over in time to go back following the tractor trailer. So I was in the wrong lane. I was in their passing lane at that time because it took me so long to try to pass the tractor trailer. And then I just blanked. All of a sudden I was just waiting to die. And then I just can't remember anything after that.
Wow.
The next thing I remember, I'm ahead of the tractor trailer.
Yeah. It's very profound.
Very odd.
Yeah, very profound.
Because I calculated how much time it would have taken, given the distance that I last remember the tractor trailer being from me, and at the speed that we were both going at the highway speed, and I calculated 2 to 3 seconds from the time I last remember to would have been the impact. And there's no way I can see getting out of the way, either the tractor trailer getting out of the way or me getting out of the way.
Right.
In that amount of time.
Yeah, very profound. Yeah, well, I'm happy to hear that you survived and that it's something that helped you live. So that's fantastic. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
I do have one question, if I can take another moment, if it's
sure.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you relate other hominids that we've evolved from to what you've been talking about consciousness?
Hmm. So you mean do you mean like human evolution in general? Is that what you mean?
Right, like
Yeah.
apparently, according to our DNA, we have Neanderthal DNA. Most of us have Neanderthal DNA and one other hominid species, which I can't recall offhand.
Yeah, I think Denisovans, I think is what it is. Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah. Um, uh, so what do I like? And when you're asking, like, I firmly believe all that. But you're asking like, how does that play with consciousness? Is that kind of more the question? Like how is there how are we not the body when we've been
Well, I
apes for
just wonder
thousands of
what,
years? Is that what you mean?
yeah, like when did the consciousness start? Did it start with other species before us,
Yeah.
and would it just transferred over time?
Yeah. So I don't know how much I can answer any of that, but I can give you a bit of my own insight. And I'm going to say some and this is just stuff for you to swallow and or just like or not swallow, but you can hear it and then make your own choice about it. So part of that like really detailed past life awareness is that I'm aware, like, I've just been this kind of recurring spirit consciousness on the planet. And I was at one point at that state. I was like Denisovin. I was a Denisovin. Like I fully was one of those. And but I was aware that I was embodied. Like I can't explain it. Like the our like I'm not 100% convinced that even animals or even ancient human wasn't aware that we weren't a reoccurring species, recurring living consciousness, flipping from body to body to body. Because as a Denisovin, it was like something he knew. It was like an embodied. What I mean by that is he felt it. He felt that truth, and then that it wasn't something he read and learned. It was something that this was the facts. I was coming from somewhere, coming in and being embodied, and I'd be going back. And that so he was this kind of flipping, and he was aware of that, and he was aware of it on a level that we all try to attain to when we're studying spirituality. So we're trying to get to a level where we feel it as a part of our identity. And for him, it wasn't. It was. I guess it was an experience, not even like a comprehension. I don't even think he had the comprehension ability, but he had the internal experience. And I'm convinced of stuff like that. I think that it's a lot more there's a lot more we don't understand about our own history and then the nature of consciousness in general. And I think even animals might kind of be aware of stuff like that, though everything is born and wants to live here, right? So they're trying to fight for its survival. So then all we're looking at is kind of a thin veil. We're like as the historians or as the modern man looking back, all we see is just this harsh reality, right? We just see this physical existence meeked out and struggling for survival. But what if there's this other reality that they were in a completed state of consciousness? And so then when they're embodying, they're like, yeah, I'm coming here as this break from that world, and I'm actually embodying as a consciousness, and they're highly aware of it, so they have no need to kind of evolve themselves out of it. And I think the picture is a lot more complex, and I won't even go into it too much, but I'm convinced aliens were involved in some way, shape, or form to put us in the state we're in now. And I don't have all the answers to that, but I'm convinced of that from some of the stuff that aliens said to me, and what does look like history is just a lot more. There's a lot more questions than there are answers to history, and I think that I think there's still a lot more to learn. So. Yeah, that's kind of my answer to that. What do you think? Does that answer
Thank
your
you, Jeff.
question?
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome. Shecky, I saw your your thing you made here in the talk or in the chat, and that's great. Yeah. Edgar Mitchell. I love Edgar Mitchell. I think there's something going on with him. I think he was in contact with aliens and didn't tell anybody about it. And his foundation, the holographic mind, the quantum holographic, I haven't read that specific paper, but it does not, he's kind of like bang on with a lot of his ideas. I always leaned that he was actually in contact with aliens, and he said some things that made it sound like that. And so, yeah, very fascinating. That's great, man. Jackie, how you doing, Jackie?
Hi, I'm glad that you're on here. I've listened to you once before, and I really like what you have to say, and I love your experiences. I've had a lot of my own experiences as well, and I really love Wayne explaining his experience, and it seems like he just went through time and space, because actually there is no time and space. So it's really interesting to hear about consciousness. I've had so many experiences, I don't even know where to begin. Right. But I understand about, Jeff, you just saying about you said before about a book. And I remember when I was like 32, that was many years ago, and I was dreaming about a book, and I was reading it and explained the whole universe, all about reality, everything. I was so intrigued with it. I knew nothing about physics or metaphysics at that time, but I understood exactly what it was talking about, and I was reading it, and it was so powerful, but then it started fading, and it faded and faded, and I said, oh, no, don't fade, but it faded away, and unfortunately I didn't remember it. I didn't remember what it said, but I knew. There was always this knowing inside of me. Right. And then once I was walking on a hill with my dog up in northern BC, and just walking along this hill, and all of a sudden I had a lot of spontaneous things happen to me, and suddenly everything turned to vibrating molecules. Everything, the trees, the grass, the sun, the moon, or not the moon, the sky, everything was just vibrating molecules. And I looked over to my left and I saw myself dying in this life, and I knew how I was dying. And I was both that person that was dying and feeling it, and still observing from this end.
Right.
But I didn't see this end. I was that other one there. And my girlfriend was with me at the time, and the next day I went to tell her there's a lot more to it, but I went to tell her what kind of an experience I had, and she knew it because she had the same experience that night, and we just hugged each other and cried. It was just amazing. But I've had a lot of spontaneous experiences, past lives too, in China and in all different places. I was in jail as a child, it was some very challenging experiences. Yeah. So I understand what you're talking about. Yeah. And you were talking about being a Denisovian.
Yeah.
I was in Neanderthal, I think I was, but I went back to that experience, and I was looking out of this cave and knew everything that was happening inside of me, this consciousness that extends with all of us at the same time, And I knew everything that was happening and why it was happening, and then it just left, so much there that we don't understand. And I didn't understand about the depth of quantum physics, and I didn't get into consciousness. I learned a little bit about it because I was interested in how this was happening to me, but the experiences were my teacher.
Yeah.
I didn't have to learn about quantum physics or anything because I already knew it. I knew it inside of me. Yeah. I understood it. So that was my teacher. All of those experiences, lifetime of experiences, were my teacher. And I do believe that the Greys were my teachers, or the ones that precipitated this, because it started many years ago when I was a child, and it was a family not genetic, but a family thing. My parents, myself, my sister, my children, my children's children, we've all been touched by UFOs and by abductions.
Right.
So, yeah. So I think that's what started the spirituality just going crazy.
Yeah. Will do, Mimi. I see your point there. I'll finish with Jackie, Mimi. I will, totally. Mimi is responding. She has only one way of talking to us, which is this thing. Jackie, that's a fantastic. Wow. So I don't know too much about your story, Jackie. So you're a contactee, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, it's funny because you're saying everything that's like, yeah, versions. It's just versions. It's like same as mine, just versions of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, twists and themes. I was reminded you talked about the book and you had your experience with the book.
Hmm.
And do you ever read the book Stephen Lives? Do you ever hear that? No, that's
No.
okay.
No.
Someone it was anyway, it's a story of a kid who died and then talks to his mom when he's dead,
Hmm.
and it's a book is how he's taught about the afterlife
Hmm.
when he's in the afterlife realm. And so books are like and then Preston Denning did a book on he had me on there and as a
Hmm.
corroboration of all the alien contactees who deal with books. And I thought that was just
Okay.
really fascinating that aliens have given books to people quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. No.
So,
Yeah.
so it seems something that's
Yeah.
very human and very earth based. Yet apparently,
Mhm.
it's more dimensional than we can even imagine. These ideas of
Yes,
books and stuff.
definitely.
Yeah, that's very powerful, and also the past life awareness too. Yeah, it's I just I really even just some of the way you touched on it, like it's very painful. It's like just so grateful that the awareness just makes me so happy for the present moment. But
Mhm.
because it is ancient world, as much it's as as neat as it sounds to have past life awareness, you're just aware of all these painful events, and you're
Mhm.
very happy you're not
Yeah.
living them now.
Well, it seems like they're mostly events that we learned with and
Yeah,
we're bringing into this life.
yeah,
So we're still learning in this life of the karmic stuff that was going on.
yeah.
And now, I don't know. I've heard from the UFO or the Greys, and they said they weren't abandoning us and they weren't also abducting us anymore. They were
Mm,
just scanning us
mm,
and looking at us. There was no more abductions.
mm,
I don't know what you've heard about that. I'd like to find out.
mm.
That's
Yeah,
what they told me anyway.
yeah. I'm the more I the more I'm into this, the more I find that we all kind of have, I think the way I was framed it is pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So different people have different, are focused with different information. I've never heard that, but
Yeah.
I see them, so they're still around. But
They're still there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I haven't had a contact event since the 17th or since the 20 whatever. It's in my book 2018, I think it is. Anyway,
Mhm.
2017. But that's the last contact event. But even then,
Mhm.
it's the end of the
They're always
story.
there.
So yeah, it's like it's the end of the story. So it's kind of like
Mhm.
if that is a truth,
Mhm.
then they had to finish this off with me. I don't,
Mhm.
but I can't. They never talk like that with me. But I do know that there's a timeline going on here, and
Mhm.
there's some they
Well,
have. There's always the impression of events
yeah.
are going to occur. So
Yeah.
yeah, it does feel like they were prepping with all the abductions and
Mhm. Yeah, they were.
yeah.
They were. And it seems now they're just like looking at us and scanning us and making sure that we're developing and evolving and stuff like that rather than abducting because they said it was really scary for a lot of people, when we were evolving. It was really scary. So they quit doing that now.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of people that can just go to them now
Right.
without being abducted because that consciousness now is more cohesive
Hmm.
rather than what it was before. Um,
Interesting.
so it's really interesting. Yes, it is really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. Thanks for speaking.
Yeah.
So okay, when did when did you okay, I'll read out Mimi's and then Alexandria, I'll get to you, okay? I just don't know when maybe you put your question in here. I had a similar experience in an accident. I was suddenly in slow motion and something moved me physically from the driver's seat to the passenger seat. It would have been sure death if it hadn't happened. Wild. Can you please read my comment? Oh yeah, okay. So I guess Wayne, that's kind of in relation to yours, but powerful, Mimi. Yeah. Wow, I never heard that one before. That's powerful. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. It was like a T-bone, eh? Like, oh wow. So you moved out of the seat and then something smacked into the side of the car. Wow. When we know, eh? Powerful stuff. That's powerful. Yeah. Okay, Alexandria, go ahead. You have your hand raised there.
Jeff, very good presentation. Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
First, I want to start by saying that for everybody gathered here today, give some appreciation and a big hand for yourselves for having the courage and the awareness to step into a space like this and to explore more about the different the intelligences which I refer to it really as I think it's like, this UFOs, this other cosmic intelligences, this metaphysics, it's all the messages that reach us. It's an extension of the source energy. And I think that most of us, when we're wrapped in our egoic waking self, right, and we're born into this 3D world, I call it 3 density, we're so conditioned. We're conditioned from the moment even before we're out of the womb to really buy in to what our denser reality is. So when something else comes in, and when a concept like this is introduced to most people, it's just so shocking, I think, and it can be so frightening even, and it can be so threatening. So to go into the depth of yourself and to even have the ability or the aspiration to question, to dig deeper, to explore more, this is a sign of really of a calling, I think. It's very remarkable. And we need more people like this to be raising the consciousness and raising the frequency for our global collective as well as our individual wellness. So have an appreciation, a deep appreciation for yourself, and know that really at this point, we're the exception to the rule. But I think that that is changing as more and more raises into the higher vibrations. Now, for myself, my background is a little bit similar to Jeff. I have been practicing for a number of years Vajrayana Buddhism, so Tibetan Buddhism, that's
Beautiful.
Tantra,
Yeah.
as well as Hindu Tantra, specifically Shiva Dharma. So Lord Shiva, you should be quite familiar with him, Jeff.
Yes.
But yeah. So obviously, before my first, so that is what I really cut my teeth on in terms of spirituality. Okay, like the UFOs and the extraterrestrial consciousness. This came later on.
Right.
But in the fundamental teachings of the Hindu Dharma, there is never any, there's never any introduction to the concept of the self as identifying with the body.
Right.
There's
Right.
It's never,
Yeah.
like the stanzas of salvation by one of the most famous Hindu saints goes, I'm not the guru, I'm not the disciple, I'm not the mantra, nor the initiation. I'm not suffering, nor
Right.
am I liberation. I am blissful consciousness.
Yeah.
Shiva am, I'm Shiva, I'm Shiva. The
Beautiful.
blissful transcendent consciousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've been working with on my own for most of my life.
Yeah.
As far as the actual tangible experiences, there's like Jackie, I've had many. There's many, but one of the most memorable I can recount is I was going through a pretty stressful time a couple of years back. I was pretty jumbled up inside. I was feeling very conflicted about many things. A lot of stuff was not working for me. And it was before I had to go on a graveyard shift at a job that I had that I didn't particularly care for. And before I headed out the door, I had a few hours to myself to get ready. So I sat down to do a meditation, to do my practice. And I was not focusing on anything in particular, but I could feel myself moving out of my body, then out of the space, then even out of my room, out of the residence. And at a point, I could witness myself sitting there in the meditative posture. I could see my shrine room. I could see my pets. I could see the outside of my apartment building. Okay. And it was like I was traveling outside and floating around outside without any point of density to refer back to. And this experience, I couldn't say how long it lasted. But when I came back, it was just about time to get ready and get out of the door. So it felt like, I don't know, I don't know how much time could have passed, because even time, when you explore further, is something that is non-linear. Time actually does not exist.
Mhm.
Like, I'll recount a story. I was working with another friend of mine, and we were doing some, we were working with a hypnotist doing regressions. And through that friend, there was something that came through, not Pleiadian, but from the area of Pleiades or maybe beyond. And she started coming through, and it was very interesting. She started telling us a lot of revelations and giving a lot of information about the direction which we would be headed to in the next few years, and even said something about COVID. This was long before COVID, okay? So we were working for most of the morning. It came around till noon, okay? And then at that point, we said, excuse me, we have to break for lunch now. We'll be back in about 2 hours. If I come back in 2 hours, can we get you back to the entity? She says, yes, I'll be here. We break for lunch, we eat, we did our things. We came back, we sat the lady down and get her into the trance mode again. And we were trying for quite some time to get that entity back. It took quite a while, but she did come back. And the first thing I asked her was, where were you? I said, it's 2 hours past now. We did our things. We came back. Where were you? We couldn't find you. She said, no, it's not 2 hours. For me, it's been over 10 years. And I'm not where you last left me. I'm on the other side of where I was.
10 years.
Yes. On their end, 10 years.
Right.
On our end, it's only 2 hours.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So once you start to understand, right? First, I
Yeah.
think it's a big leap for some people when you start to approach these things. But first, maybe take a smaller concept, like a tangible concept that we're working with, like time. Like recently, we had the daylight savings time switch over, right? So that shows you, okay, the time. What is really the time? The time is not solid. It's not concrete. It's something that's man-made. It's something that can be spun to our whims. You know, what's our perception of the time? Even when you're having fun, right? You can have fun, you can have a great time if you're spend time with your lover or whatever. 5 hours, it seems like a few seconds, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But when you're at work, you step your foot into the door, you're looking at the clock, not even half hour past, it already feels like your energy is drained. You're spending your whole day and it's gone already. So there you go.
Yeah.
But recently, sorry, I'll let you say your piece. I just want to add one more. Recently, to speak more, particularly in the context of this group and gathering, around the beginning of this year, okay, I had because 2021, that was a very traumatic year for me. I had a lot of difficulties. I had a major depressive episode. Major breakdown. I thought I would not get out of it alive because that's how miserable I was feeling inside. Then I went back to do some channeling work with this friend and with this hypnotherapist. And I started to work with something came through and I made contact with the Pleiadians. And for those of you who are familiar with them, it's nothing short of life-changing. And I had many prophecies, the most vivid of which was, I woke up one morning, one beautiful, crisp winter morning in end of January or February or so. And I was still awake, but kind of like in that liminal, like, you know, when you just wake up, but you're still kind of groggy, drowsy. And there was a being before me that was in a violet aura. And I felt my physical body in my bed, but my consciousness ascend or was transported in somewhere else. That's dimensionless. I would not call it white. It's many different colors. It's kind of like aurora borealis. Very, very beautiful. But there's this being that comes to me, violet hue, urethral body, smiling at me, takes me, embraces me, and says, from now on, you have nothing to fear. From now on, this world is not your enemy. Everywhere you go, you will be supported. Trust in this and you will be fine. All you have to do is trust in this. Drop your anger, drop your resentment, drop your judgment, and just trust and fall back. And we will do the rest.
It's beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. Powerful, man. Yeah, I love it. Very powerful. Your stuff on time. That's when I was that's like the sort of past life awareness I gain. I mentioned this in another presentation I've done, but I don't get it from thinking about the past. It's present moment experiences for that person in the past. And that's how I'm tuning into it. I'm going into the no space, no time, and you have access. And that is the incomprehensibility of it all. It's like, it's beyond time is this, everything you just said is bang on, but so it's just very fascinating. And I also, the Vedic, man, the same thing with me. I haven't had any, I was 20 years Vedic. I had the contact events before I met my guru. And then I didn't know I was having them though. That's the thing. They kind of were able to seal up my mind. And the memories all came out when I was 41, but I'd been with my guru for 20 years at that point. So I have all this Vedic training. And then when the memories opened up, it kind of helped me understand how things. I had some weird events happen when I was a younger person, and they all kind of answered this kind of background thing going on with me. But I really lean towards using Vedic or using like just that line you said, right? Like that no one's brains can conceive this stuff, and that's the power of the Vedic philosophy. Is it's the degree of unity is so above what we're so used to. These are the only ways out of your brain is by contemplating that line you just said, trying to understand it, right? Trying to understand that sloka. And it's when we meditate on these slokas, then we're really doing things that kind of move us outside of the brain. And I don't know how to do it any other way except for powerful, slokas from high level gurus who lived in India and practiced this stuff all their lives. So like those guys actually know how to do what they're doing. And so I think that's fantastic that you kind of also in a similar fashion kind of combine the two, or at least see the connection between the two. And Mimi is asking Alexandria if you can link and name the therapist, please. I guess I don't know if were you seeing a therapist or you had a hypnotherapist, I think. Is that right?
She's a hypnotherapist. Yes, she's based in the States.
In the States.
I can post some information. So she was somebody who works with Dolores Cannon, who's a particularly evolved soul, and she was a great. Dolores Cannon herself has already transitioned, but many of her teaching still available on YouTube, on podcasts and such. So I would say to you guys and to Mimi, if you're interested, that is my hypnotherapist teacher. My hypnotherapist herself, she is getting up in her years. I don't know if she's open to the clients. She doesn't have a website, but I can try to find her some information and post it here, okay? Or maybe I can take down somebody's info if they're really interested, and then I can direct message you later.
Yeah, Mimi, you can directly message Alexandra if you want to, and you're saying QQHT. That's that quantum hypnotherapy, isn't that? Is that what Alexandra? Is that what your person does? The quantum hypnotherapy? Is that
quantum hypnotherapy similar? Because the thing is that when it starts with Miss Cannon herself, because when she started her work in the 1980s, okay, in the States, hypnotherapy, you see, was only used, just FYI for everyone, it may be interesting. Hypnotherapy was only used for habit. Okay, it was very habit-oriented therapy. So it's to work on like stop smoking, lose weight, etc. There was no such thing as using hypnotherapy for past life regression, unearthing traumas, unblocking, the memories that our psyche has shut off to our waking mind and so forth. So she developed a technique which is working with an individual on what is known as the somnambulistic level, which is the deepest level of trance. When it takes a long time, it's quite, an involved process to be able to get into the receptive mode where one can be comfortable enough to go to those depths. But once you are in that level of trance, somnambulistic level, the waking mind, the conscious mind, the ego is completely out of the way. So that's what she does. So that is going to the most profound level that that hypnotherapy can go to.
Right. Right.
Mm.
So Mimi left her email address in the chat. So Mimi at
Okay.
vancouverufo.com. So
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll save that.
great. Thanks, Alexandria. That's great. Fantastic. Powerful
Mm.
stuff.
Thank you.
Starshine, you had your hand up there. You can, it's clearly gotten tired keeping your hand up there. It's obviously tiring. Yeah.
All good, all good. So you can hear me, obviously.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. How you doing?
Okay, excellent. I'll lower my hand now just so it's out of the way. Yeah, I wanted to kind of touch base a little bit about near-death experiences. I know a lot of you are all familiar, I'm sure, with Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka.
Right.
And what Bashar had said in a channeling in regards to dying within a certain lifetime, like your own lifetime, he says we've all died many times, apparently, and that we just wake up in a parallel reality as if nothing has happened, but there's something inside of your core that, you know, something's different, something's not quite right here, something's changed, because you've literally woken up in a parallel reality where you actually did die in that life. And then you were given the choice to come back and you're like, oh, okay, yes, I'll come back. And then it's like, boom, split second later, you're back. So yeah, he kind of touched base about that. I had like kind of a weird experience where I was murdered like in 2016. And then I woke up, and then it was like such a vivid experience that I woke up and I made a different choice so that it didn't happen in this timeline. But in a parallel reality, I was murdered, remembered everything, woke up, and I was like, no, I'm not making that choice today.
Right.
It was just, yeah, just so realistic and bizarre. And it's just little things like that. Or things where, you know, I was walking down the street with a boyfriend years and years ago, and it looked like this car was going to hit me, and it didn't. And then all of a sudden I looked down, and there's like these tracks were like exactly where I would have been walking from the car. So perhaps I was hit, came back on another timeline in a split second, didn't even realize that I had died. So apparently we've all died many times, and we just come back and are merged into another parallel reality, apparently.
Epic. I don't have any, I do have some understanding about making different choices for different timelines. But I personally have no experience into that. And having past life awareness, I actually have past life awareness of dying. And so I'm very convinced we do move on. I think but I do think that the universe and consciousness, it's so much more multifaceted, and so ideas like this, it doesn't strike me that it couldn't, that it could. It strikes me that it could be real. Like it's so there's like, I think it's all just, you know, it's all, again, it's consciousness. So it's what you focus on, it's what you desire, it's what you want, it's what you're aware of. And so like your awareness of those kind of events, maybe those, I don't have the answer, but maybe your awareness of that type of thing allows for those events for you to occur. I'm aware that, you know, that we create alternate timelines based on our vision. So like, that's what intuition is, right? Like you technically can feel, you know, you have to make two choices. Do I want to go to school, or do I want to start a job this summer, right? And you kind of have two choices, and you're literally you're creating a feeling. If you're looking into the future of each, if your mind's imagining each thing, you're actually looking into the future. And technically what you're doing is you've made a vision, and you're looking at the possibilities of those two timelines. That's the only understanding I have of timelines, as far as like how they interact with us. But you know, man, I just, you know, there's so much about consciousness. And so if someone says that and that's their experience, and that's powerful, man. I don't have any other anything else I don't know anything else about that. So but that's really epic.
It's really interesting. I guess something else that Bashar mentioned is that we're all shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality billions of times per second, apparently. That's what creates reality, like a film strip. It's just, you know, you can put it all in front of you and then see it piece by piece, but it's just, it's just so it's so unreal, like it's quantum
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, and I don't know how to frame the idea of parallel realities, but even as I said that there's two realities going off of the person
Yeah.
who's intuitive and they're making two choices: should I go to school or should I not? And then there
Yeah.
are two alternate realities, but where are those realities?
Yeah.
Right, like where are they placed? And technically, when you look at string theory, the idea that they could be placed stacked on top of one another, but that doesn't make sense. We're framing it in terms of space, but then it may be beyond space, that there's just kind of space stacked on top of each other. And so alternate realities really just do split off. But yeah, I'm not really clear on too much of it. Only from my own personal experience that I'm aware of. When I vision, I'm actually creating a new timeline, and that's what a vision is when you kind of you create the timeline when you create a new vision, and you can feel that timeline, and then things kind of align in space once you make a new vision and you do something that doesn't seem like you had the possibility. Oh, I couldn't get that job, there's no way. But then you visioned it, you wanted that job a lot, and then you got it. Did the person who didn't vision create another reality? And I'm 100% convinced he does. There's a whole other reality that's created of the person who didn't make that effort. But and the reason I say that is because I'm aware the being state is the consciousness. Being state is what you need to make a vision, and so you're using a new being state and you're pointing it with a new being, and that is the part I know is that I'm aware of is the part that is involving itself with timelines, is who you are being. And so the being state creates a certain set of thinking, and then you're bound to create a certain reality if you follow that being state that you now choose, and that creates a certain set of path. It creates a path. But that's all I know. Yeah, that's all I know. It's very fascinating. Creating a timeline was taught to me by my star family as a healing modality. Beautiful. Mimi was saying that. Beautiful. Yeah. So powerful stuff, Starshine. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Alexandra, do you have another question again? Your hand is still up. This is a no. Oh,
Sorry, I forgot to put it down.
no problem. No problem. It's so tiring, eh? Keeping the hand up. Yeah. That joke only works once. Yeah.
I don't know how to undo it. But sorry, while I'm speaking, just a quick point to what Starshine was saying.
Yeah.
I put it in the chat already. Because in the Gnostic teachings, or in the in the metaphysics of the occult, we have the saying "as above, so below." That's very famous. So the principle means what is happening, and that's actually not just magic or something esoteric. It's actually quantum physics, because the theory of downward causation, which is more like the subtle energy, translates into the gross actions or into the material manifestation, right? In order to, let's say, you want to sign in onto a meeting, right? You want to join, you need to have the thought first. Then the thought inspires you to do the actual tangible things to make that the tangible reality, translate that into the tangible reality. Or if we look at astrology and the transits that are going in the cosmos and how heavily they impact the flow of things in this world, the politics, financial, economic situation, ecological situation, and so on and so forth, right? So it's just like, as Starshine say, everything starts with a thought on the subtle level. Beyond the thought, there's even more subtle movements going on, right? And then that translates into how your reality, what you can touch, what you can feel, your actual surroundings in the 3D will play out as. Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah. Mimi, are you there with audio? Okay, so your hand is up for what you're saying in the chat. Yes. Okay. So wanted to say that changing timelines for trauma healing is a good modality, and I have done some work with Evie Lorgan with this. It really works. You can move into a new timeline where you reacted to trauma. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. What I would say to that is you're visioning. It's the same thing. That's epic. That is actually a great way to heal from things. Is very powerful. I agree with that. is to revision using your imagination. Yes, but as I just said, right, time visioning are creating new timelines. It's the control mechanism is the being state. So you're being someone new. I'm going to be someone new when that trauma occurred. Very epic. That's powerful, Mimi, to share that. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's great. Healing from trauma is the biggest one, right? And so using that as a way of visioning, creating a new timeline is a great way of I do that I do that regularly with things in my life. If I wasn't happy with the outcome, I rethink the thought of how I was when I was in that moment and approaching it. So yeah. Yeah, until we heal the trauma. We can't get out of the body until we heal the trauma. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree that our perception of getting out of the body and our perception of consciousness can't be we can't experience consciousness fully until we are until we don't identify with the trauma of the separation that we lived in the body. Yeah, it's great. Good stuff. Awesome. So is that it? No more questions? Okay, it's 1:07. Starshine, you have another question?
Oh, sorry. Are we stopping the meeting now, or is it still continuing? Or
whatever's happening. If someone had another question, I would just let it go, but keep going. Yeah, but whatever's happening.
I was just gonna say something about some more about the Greys and this and that. Like I know in regards to Bashar again, he was saying that there's many factions of Greys, and of course many different alien species that are involved with us. And he was saying something along the lines of when we have contact, like real open contact on this planet, he said, according to the timeline that we're all on, apparently that it would be the Pleiadians that would reach out to us first, he was saying.
Interesting.
They kind of look most like us, and I think they would be accepted more by the majority of the population first than by beings that look so different from us.
Interesting. I think I mentioned that in the book only just intuitively when I was shown the Pleiadians, that there was a feeling that the aliens were aware, the mantid or whatever that creature was, and the Greys are aware that they are ugly looking to humans, that they're terrifying to humans. That they know that, and that they need these guys to help with the whole process. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and as far as the Grey, I know there's so many, because they're tunneling back in time to grab genetics. A lot of them, they're many years ahead of us apparently. I guess there are many factions of Greys on different timelines that are extracting genetics. So it's just, you could have, a faction of Greys from like 100 years prior to this other one, and they might have different practices. So, so many people have different experiences in regards to the Grey. Some are positive, some are, not so positive, I guess.
Right.
Like my experiences from what I can remember, I don't remember everything. I mean, my experiences haven't been negative from what I can tell. I think, like I've been, of course, taken many times, and, I had telepathic conversations where, I'm just like, okay, well, you need to start, I feel like I'm going crazy. So you need to give me a sign of when you're taking me. So they would, I'd wake up with 3 fingerprint bruises on my body to let me know as a marker that I was being taken. And recently, only within a couple months ago, excuse me, I had telepathically asked them again, okay, I need to know a sign when you're taking us. And my daughter wakes up with a 3 fingerprint bruise on her knee. But then, of course, I had to telepathically tell them, okay, please don't do that with my daughter, because it's kind of freaking me out. I don't, do that with me only, please. So, that stopped. But as far as I know, I haven't been taken lately. I haven't woken up with any 3 fingerprint bruises. As far as the pregnancies, that's still continuing. So, yeah, it depends which faction of Grey you're dealing with, but the ones that I'm dealing with, like the pregnancies still continue, where they, reinsert them in my body and take them out once they've been in there gestated for a little while. And it has to do with vibration. They found that the fetuses that were raised in incubation tanks didn't have the depth of the personality, where when they were connected to the Earth Mother, they developed a greater depth of personality. It has to do with vibration, right? So that vibration kind of is transmuted, or it takes on, it's kind of enveloped in the fetus when that fetus is in the earth mother. So that's why they do that.
Hmm.
I know they're taking out, I don't know, some grays maybe have different ways of doing things where, you know, I've heard some where they, you know, cause the mother to like kind of give birth to this fetus, and, you know, but the ones that I don't think mine's happening that way from what I understood. You know, their technology is so advanced that, you know, they have quantum particle technology. So it's, you know, it dematerializes, rematerializes within an instant, within the coordinates.
Hmm.
So, you know, nothing surgical in my
Hmm.
case. Not that I'm aware of any, I'm not aware of anything any other way. I just know it's their technology is so advanced, it would seem like magic, as you would know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my
Powerful.
experience anyways. Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah. Powerful. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have too much to say about it except for my own personal experience. And yeah, I
Mhm.
can't speak for factions and stuff like that. It does seem that people have some, I actually don't know that. I don't know that people are having varying experiences because people aren't public, right? The people
Mhm.
who are public are, it's clear that their experiences match mine. But the people
Mhm.
who aren't public, I don't know. I can't tell what's going on half the time because the people aren't overtly coming out with clear public stories. And
Mhm.
and so I can't tell what's going on half the time. So I don't know. I can imagine something like that, and it does.
Mhm.
I once was explained to them through telepathy, like kind of at home, that there was something about tribes, like within them, like the same way that we have indigenous tribes, like on our
Yeah.
planet, that's kind of how they thought about it, like thought that there's tribes
Mhm.
going on, like there is differences and versions.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I never got any more information than that, and so I don't really know what the hell.
Yeah.
I can't tell. Yeah, the picture is fuzzy. Fuzzy
Yeah,
picture.
I just think it's so complicated.
Yeah, it
I
is. And I think there is only one end result, which is to kind of get us up, if quote unquote
Yeah.
get us up to, so there can be, proper disclosure and we can get proper information.
Yeah.
Because but yeah, for all those who are like, I think I did it in my last video, right? Like like the people who are saying they're having bad experiences, well, there's other things to consider here. And the aliens themselves sometimes aren't negative, but people are feeling, they're so terrified from the aliens, so then they without even the alien doing anything, right? I think there was a good documentary out, can't remember the guy's name. It's a documentary about experiencers, and there's tons of stories in there, and all that's happening are the aliens are basically playing with little kids' minds. But every time the person grows up, fully living out this kind of life where they start exploring consciousness, or they have psychic things happening, and all they remember is a clown on a bike in their bedroom, right? Like it's something so strange, and the kid was terrified about this strange clown thing. And then it turns out you see what was really going on is a larger picture of growth, that the aliens, I kind of say this in the last presentation, I'm pretty certain they understand things, what's called post-traumatic growth, right? Where you do rattle a brain, and then the end result is the person kind of does expand out from that kind of shock of shock of the mind. And then they do make an effort to expand consciousness. And that seems to be what happens here. Most people have, even Whitley Strieber, like his story, his first book seems to be terrifying. And then it turned into this like, oh, I think they're telling me something. And it seems to be the way the aliens kind of handle humans seems to be confusing to humans. But I from my own experience, I just kind of lean towards, I think they know what they're doing. I think that they're aware that that humans need to be a bit rattled, and to do that, it kind of gets terrifying. But when you come out of it, you are a person who grew into a bigger and larger version of yourself that you couldn't have done without that type of push. And yeah, so it is really confusing, and it isn't fully always making sense. But yeah, so yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm going to cut it off if there's nothing else. I appreciate everyone being here. This has been fantastic. And thanks for everybody. Thanks for Mimi for being. Mimi, I'm just so happy, from Mexico. Mimi was here. She came back to Vancouver, and she was been in Mexico this entire time. And so you're back in Vancouver. I'm so happy to hear that, Mimi, and great that you were here. I think that's fantastic. I haven't seen you at one of my presentations in a while as well too. So thanks for being here. Jackie, thanks for being here and speaking up. Wayne, thanks for being here and speaking up. Alexandra, thanks for being here, speaking up. Wendy, thanks for being here. Starshine, thanks for being here and speaking up. And Kristen, it was great to see that you were here. Didn't hear from you, but hope you're doing well. And thanks for being here. And Keith, thanks for being here as well too. Okay, and Mimi, of course, thanks for being here. Thanks a lot, guys. And okay, and the video will be available on my YouTube channel and as well as on the Vancouver UFO YouTube channel as well too. Okay, everyone have a great day and take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.